Join me today as we create a striking monochromatic cove featuring the high contrast of shiny resin against a matte landscape. We'll use spray foam and some glass bling to bring it all together. Now, let's dive in. Welcome, SeaRoxx. Well, I've gone ahead and pre-primed my board in black. I've got a popsicle stick and some expanding foam. Now, the darn nozzle was clogged, but who cares? We'll just use it right out of the can. Just make sure you've got your gloves on for this process. Now, the whole purpose of this popsicle stick is exactly this, just to kind of shape and form things a little bit, but mostly to kind of beat this foam down because otherwise it's just going to get ginormous and out of control. So even though it looks like it's really flat right now, once it dries, you'll be surprised at how large just these little tiny bubbles get. So between the popsicle stick and the foam, I am just creating a great coastline for our contrasting cove. How is that for alliteration? Anyway, this is what it looks like before it's dry. And here it is after. See what I mean? How it expanded so much? Now I did add a little island out there just to give it a little more interest. Now the best way to paint this stuff is with a spray paint, and I'm going to use black in matte because we're going for a high contrast look. Once that spray paint was dry, it wasn't quite matte enough for my liking, so I went in with a matte finish clear acrylic coating. Once all that was dry, I brought it inside to add a little bling to it. Now to glue our bling down, I'm just using an E6000 glue. If you're enjoying today's video so far, give that like button a big splash. It lets me know you like what you're seeing, and that way you won't miss out. Now we're going to try a little experiment. This is mica powder, a metallic silver by Resin, and it is spectacular in resin. I absolutely love it, but I'm not going to use it in the traditional sense where you mix it with a resin. The experiment is that I'm going to kind of just lace it here along the edge, and then we're going to pour the resin on top and let it mix organically. Now we are using art resin today, and to that I am adding a black pigment, and that pigment is from Eye Candy. And if you're looking for a great mica powder and pigment resource, they are a great one to use. Now, because I want the ultimate control of this resin, I am not pouring it on. I'm drizzling it along the edges because I want it to look kind of a little more natural where it flows into the landscape a little bit. Anyway, I just didn't want it to take over the landscape. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, I invite you to do so. That way you never miss any upcoming art. Once I got all the resin where I wanted it in the main area, I went ahead and used a heat gun instead of a torch because the torch, warning, will melt your foam. So don't use that. But the heat gun also gets kind of hot, so I couldn't really blow out that silver like I wanted to. Anyway, it is what it is, but there aren't any bubbles, but flecks of silver everywhere. And here's where the resin is going to meet that bling that we had glued down earlier. So just kind of dab it along the side. If you don't want to obliterate your bling with black resin or whatever you're using, you could use clear resin. That would work too. But the idea here was to imagine pools of water in different places on this landscape, more obviously on the flatter parts, and just give it, dimension and interest and the contrast between the shiny and the matte. I decided to spice things up a bit and add some real glass shards on top of that wet resin, on top of the bling. And oh my gosh, look at the sparkle that it gives. It's absolutely incredible. But there was some sort of chemical reaction from the alcohol spritz that I gave the resin that it had with the sealant. And anyway, so I had to repaint.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Wait till you see what just happened.
So I sprayed the spray paint into a cup to paint on with a paintbrush. But all of a sudden, I started hearing this weird noise, and all of a sudden, the bottom of the cup dropped out, and all the paint spilled out. And it's like it's corroding the plastic cup. It's incredible. Oh my gosh. But it actually worked, and our reveal is next. Oh, I am loving the bling, the icy, the sparkle of this. Oh my gosh. Now, it's always so difficult to photograph or video resin because it's so reflective. But anyway, I love this piece. The monochromatic, the high contrast between the shiny and the matte. The matte's not quite as matte as it started out, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed yourself and you're inspired or entertained. I don't know which. I invite you to join the SeaRoxx family. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends, salty or unsalted. You can find me on other social media platforms, including my website and my Etsy shop if you're in the market to purchase art. Thanks for watching, and until next time, go beach or go home.